Hi guys, I hope today went well with the sub. I know you're going to have another sub today, so today's day is pretty easy. You're going to watch this video and take notes for these 6 problems. I'm going to see how many I can show you in the 15 minutes, and then your assignment will be to complete number 1 through 8 on worksheet number 14. Okay, so now we're at a point where you guys have learned how to add, subtract, multiply, rational functions, and now we're going to combine everything that we've learned in order to solve equations. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, if you notice, this is adding of 2 equations. They both have common denominator. These are not really there for now. I'm just going to kind of ignore the denominators. And it's like if I had this as my actual equation, 15 plus 7x is equal to -6. How would you get rid of a positive 15 in order to get x by itself? Well, you would subtract 15 from both sides. So you're left with 7x is equal to -6 minus 15 is -21. Okay, and then how would you solve for the x? You're multiplying by 7, so you're going to divide both sides by 7. In this case, you're left with x is equal to -3. I have solved for x, but now I need to come back and bring my denominator back in. So this is actually -3 over x minus 6. Okay, let's look at number 2. Number 2, same thing. All of our denominators are the same, so I'm going to kind of ignore them for now. And I'm going to just keep what's in the numerator. 11x minus 14 is equal to -41. Don't forget that that's a subtraction symbol. In this case, I want to get x by itself, so I need to get rid of the 14 by doing the opposite to both sides. I'm left with 11x is equal to 55. And I want to get x by itself. I'm multiplying 11 times x. The opposite of multiplication is division, so you're left with x is equal to 5. And not just 5, but 5 over 4x plus 9. Okay, so this is very easy solving equations as long as they have the common denominator. If they don't have common denominators, then it gets a little bit more complicated. But not much, you can still do it. Okay, so if you look at number 3, they don't have common denominators. Okay, so here I'm missing an x, and here I'm missing a 7. So that all of my terms will have 7x on the bottom. So I'm going to leave the first fraction the same. I'm going to multiply the second function, or the second fraction, by an x. And now I have x over 7x. And this one I need to multiply by a 7. 7 times 4 is 28. And then 7 times x. So now I have a common denominator between all 3 terms. Okay, I'm going to ignore them for now. And now I'm going to take my numerators and solve for x. So I really have 3x plus x is equal to 28. Well, we know that 3x plus 1x is equal to 4x. In order to get x by itself, we need to divide by 4. 28 divided by 4 is 7, I think. 7 times 4 is 28. Does that sound right? Yeah, 6 times 4 is 24. 7 times 4 is 28. Perfect. So now we've solved for x, but we need to bring back our 7x. And in this case, you can simplify a little bit further. Eliminate your 7's, and you're left with 1 over x as a final answer. Okay, let's move on to number 4. If you need to pause the video at any time and catch up with the notes, or rewind and hear this stuff again, that's okay. You can do that. Okay, we have 3x, 6, and a 2x. So the common denominator, the greatest common factor between 2, 3, and 6 is 6. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 2 to get 6x. I'm going to multiply 6 times an x. And I'm going to multiply 2x times 3 so that we can get a denominator of 6x. If you notice, an x is kind of confusing, so I'm just going to make it to a dot, okay? All right, so if we look at 2x over 3x, I'm multiplying by 2. 2x times 2 is 4x over 3x times 2 gives me 6x. So I change this fraction to that by multiplying times 2. Then I have minus, I gotta multiply the top by x and the bottom by x is equal to, and on this side I need to change my 2x into a 6x. So I'm gonna multiply times 3. So 2x times 3 gives me 6x, and 5 times 3 gives me 15. So I just rewrote each of these terms into something that has a common denominator. So now I have a common denominator of 6x's. I'm going to just take the numerator. 4x minus 5x is equal to 15, and solve for the variable. Well, 4x minus 5x is just equal to a negative x is equal to a positive 15. I want to get rid of the negative that's sitting in front of the x, so I'm going to divide by a negative 1, and that leaves me with x is equal to negative 15. I can't forget about my denominators, right, that I had ignored originally, so now I need them back. And so I'm going to put negative 15 over 6x. And you can reduce that fraction by 3. So 15 divided by 3 is negative 15 divided by 3 is negative 5. And 6 divided by 3 is 2x. So this is my final answer. You always want to simplify as far as you can. Okay, you don't want to leave it as an improper fraction. Try to get it in lowest terms. Okay, so we went from same denominator, ignoring the denominators because they were the same, and just adding or subtracting across the numerators. Then we went to a little bit more difficult where we had different denominators and we had to multiply in order to get the same common denominator. Once we had the same denominators, then all we did was take the numerator and add or subtract them like we did above. Okay, let's look at number 5 and number 6. Number 5 and number 6 are just like before. Okay, you want to get a common denominator. They're just going to be a little bit more extensive. Okay, we're going to notice that 7 times x minus 3 is my common denominator. So I need to multiply that by x minus 3. And I need to multiply this times 7. So I'm going to leave my first fraction the same. This goes here. I'm going to multiply my second fraction times x minus 3. So I have 4 times x minus 3 over 7 times x minus 3 is equal to 3 times 7, right? Because I'm multiplying the top and the bottom by 7 times x minus 3 inside parentheses. So now I have the same common denominator, 7 parentheses x minus 3. I'm going to ignore it for now. I'm just going to take my numerator and I'm going to solve for x. So I have 1 times 4x minus 3 is equal to 7 times 3, which is equal to 21. You need to distribute. So I have, you could do it one of two ways. You could just divide by 4, subtract 1, divide by 4, and then go from there, or distribute. I like to distribute because I don't like the parentheses. Okay, so I'm going to add 12 to both sides. I'm left with 1 plus 4x is equal to 21 plus 12 gives you 33. I still need to get rid of the 1. I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, and I'm left with 4x is equal to 32. Whew, we're almost finished, okay? 4x is equal to 32. How do you get x by itself? You're going to divide both sides by 4. So x is equal to 32 divided by 4 gives you 8. We are now finished. We have now solved for x. Now we need to come back to our denominator since we had ignored it at the beginning. Okay, pause this, go over it, rewind it, try to understand this carefully. Okay, this is about at the most difficult that we're going to see. You guys are doing great. Keep it up, okay? Okay, if we look at number 6, there's a couple of things. I see 5, x plus 6, 5, and x plus 6. So because of that information, I know that I'm going to multiply this times x plus 6, right? I'm going to multiply this times 5, and this one can just stay the same. So it's getting kind of crowded in there, so let me get a sheet of paper really quickly. I just got a different packet because I ran out of space, okay? So we're going to multiply this times x plus 6, this times 5, and you leave this the same. So 2 times x plus 6 over 5 times x plus 6. So all I did was take my original fraction and multiplied it times x plus 6 minus 7 and multiply that times 5 over x plus 6 and multiply that times 5. So all I did was take my original, my original fraction and multiply it times 5 is equal to 9 over 5x plus 6. These two denominators are exactly the same. The order does not matter when you're multiplying. Alright, so now I have the same common denominators among each of them, so I'm going to ignore it for now, and I'm just going to keep my denominator. 2x minus 6 times 7 times 5 is equal to 9. Well, I distribute 2x plus 12, and 7 times 5 is negative 35, is equal to 9. In this case, what's 12 minus 35? Negative 23 is equal to 9. I'm trying to solve for x. So you're going to add 23 to both sides. You do the opposite of what you see. And you're left with 2x is equal to 23 plus 9, 10, 11, 12, 32. Okay, and the very last step is to divide both sides by 2 so I can get x by itself. This cancels and I'm left with x is equal to 32 divided by 2, which is just equal to 16. So x is equal to 16. We have now solved for x, but I got to bring back my denominator. 5 over x plus 6. That's as low as we can go. That's all we can reduce, so we are finished. With these 6 examples that I just gave you, I want you to use these 6 examples to complete 1 through 8. Today, you may work with a partner, you may work by yourself, but you need to turn your packet into the box. You should have finished worksheet 13, worksheet 14, and then from today you should have done worksheet 7 and 8. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day. See you guys tomorrow.